I knew at least he was going to get the car hopefully fixed and hopefully running. I knew we had his paycheck so we could go to the store and get some groceries. But I knew between point A and point B, my kids were going to be really hungry. And so I was just laying there talking to the Lord and praying. And I was like, God, what am I going to feed my kids? And he said, use what you have. And I was like, but what do I have? I have nothing. And he said, you have a handful of apples. And I was like, okay, I've got a handful of apples. But I just felt like him saying he would help me bless what I had. And, I mean, yes, a little bit of apples for a snack would be okay, but it wouldn't really last them very long if this was going to be kind of like an all-day ordeal. So I went to the kitchen. Now I got a cookbook and started digging for apple recipes. I found a baked apple recipe. I had exactly enough flour, sugar, and butter to make this recipe, because it wasn't the flour and sugar, it wasn't enough to make pancakes or anything like that. I had just a tiny bit of butter, just a tiny bit of flour, a little bit of sugar, and so I followed this little recipe. I'd never made baked apples before. I didn't know if my kids would eat them, so I made these baked apples, and about the time they were coming out of the oven, Brian came in. He's like, I got it fixed, the car's running. And we all sat down, and I remember that every single child loved the baked apples. We all ate that. It was just such a happy memory that we had that morning, sitting there eating those apples together. Everybody got their tummies full. Everybody was happy. And, we were able to make it to the store. And that year, I don't even know how we survived. We shouldn't have survived on the amount of money that my husband didn't make that year. But God always provided. And just the lesson I've always taken from that, as we call it the apple story, was that God always uses what you have. You don't have to have a bunch. You don't have to be like, oh, I've got this great talent, or I've got this great education, or I've got my money, or whatever. God will use whatever you have. So just trust him with that, and he's never going to let you down. He's never going to leave you stranded. And those moments give you faith, and they give you strength to remember the next time you're coming short on something, and God says, I'll use what you have if you give it to me, and it'll make something precious. That's just my encouragement for the day. Love y'all.